Hello guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to do the Little Less Lonely book tag. I was tagged by Victoria from Books and Things quite a while ago, and I only now got around to doing this. So there are 5 questions and let's just jump right in. A classic that seemed to get you. So basically a book that has a character or something that really resonates with you. And for this question I decided to go with Persuasion by Jane Austen. And that is because Anne Elliot is probably the most relatable character to me personally. Not because of the love story, but because she has to compromise so much. She has to put her own well-being and her own interests on the back burner and put others ahead of herself all the time. And she makes a lot of compromises and sacrifices throughout this book, and I really love that the book is actually about her wanting something for herself for once and kind of being selfish and taking control of her own life, and I really admire this book for that. And I admire Anne Elliot's character because Anne Elliot is basically very much like me, I feel. Like, out of all the Austen heroines, I think I can relate the most to Anne's character. A surprise, a book that surprised you with how much it affected you. And for this, I am going to go with The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I had heard a lot of good things about this book, but before reading it, I just thought that, okay, I'm going to be reading a good book. But when I actually did read it, I was really surprised how emotional I felt while reading it. Because I don't usually get very emotional while reading anything or consuming media. Like, I get excited, I have a lot of feelings, but there's a little bit of a disconnect in how I consume media. I tend to be very analytical, and that tends to override all the emotional output that I may be receiving. But The Fifth Season really got me, and I pretty much had to immediately pick up the second book, and after that I was really craving the third one, and it is a book series that I will probably be rereading multiple times in the future, because I feel like this is a book that really tackles issues that have been topical for many years and probably will be in the future as well, unfortunately. But I think that this will be a book series that will give you new things and new experiences every time you read it. So this was definitely a surprise for me on how much I got from it emotionally, how much I'm still thinking about it, and how much I'm still finding enjoyment out of analyzing it, and all those things. A book that you read at just the right time. And for this I'm going to go with The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. I could have also mentioned The Lies of Locke Lamora, but I have covered that so many times, so let's just pick a new one. I first read The Never-Ending Story when I was in elementary school. And back then I was relentlessly bullied. I mean, it wasn't just name-calling or anything, it was basically physical assault. And that really affected me a lot. And I was really depressed about it. And I was really drawn inwards and kind of escaped into reading and escaped into new worlds. So I read Never-Ending Story and I really related to Bastian as a character, because Bastian is also a child that is bullied and tormented, and he takes refuge in a bookshop and then takes The Never-Ending Story and starts reading it and takes refuge in the school attic, and he kind of escapes into this world that only his imagination can save. And I really related to Bastian as a character, and I wanted to be him, and I was hoping that I would be whisked away into a new world where I wouldn't have to deal with the bullying. But the great thing about Neverending Story is that it's not about escaping, really. It's about finding strength in yourself and confronting the things that make you be afraid. And I think that I found a lot of strength in Neverending Story, at least in terms that I got the courage to confront the issue with my parents, who then went to talk to the teachers, and that got resolved in the end. So what I got from that book was that it is okay to be afraid. It is okay to be weak sometimes. It is okay to rely on other people. And that's what I really love about the Neverending Story. And I still think that it is one of the greatest books I've ever read. A book that inspires you. I'm going to go with I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. Now this book has really inspired me since I was a teenager because it talks about robotics. It has influenced the world of robotics and the field of technology, and I just find that to be inspirational in itself, that this is a work of fiction that has had actual real-life influence. And the work itself is very inspirational, but the fact that it has had that influence in the real world is what makes it inspirational for me personally. And the last question, a book that calms you. Now I had to think about a long time about what a calming book even means to me. What do I need to be calm? And I came to the conclusion that to be calm I need to be kind of happy and relaxed. So a calming book for me would be the kind of escapist, happy-go-lucky kind of fiction. So I decided to answer this with Antique Bakery by Fumi Yoshinaga. This is a really sweet tale of a guy who hates sweets and pastries and everything because when he was a child he was abducted and the abductor fed him only sweets. But he decides to confront his trauma by opening up a pastry shop. And he hires a guy to work as a pastry chef in his bakery. And that person turns out to be a classmate of his from high school, whom he bullied and humiliated because that classmate was gay. And these two characters form the main focus point of these books. This is a 4-parter. There are also other characters. There's this boxer who is a young kid, but he can't box anymore because he received an injury. And there's also the childhood friend of the main character who knows all about his past and why he acts the way he does, and etc. And the series is all about coming to terms with trauma, coming to terms with that you weren't always a good person, and also forgiveness and acceptance and friendship. And the story is framed around these clients that come to the bakery, and these people have to give them the perfect pastry to help them. And this is just a very, very heart-wrenching, very emotional read, and it instantly makes me happy. Even though there are some dark themes in these volumes, I still find that the overall message of the whole series is that of finding yourself and finding happiness and finding strength in friendship, and it is very powerful and it instantly makes me happy when I read this series, and I would recommend it to anyone. And there you have it. This has been my take on the A Little Less Lonely tag. Thank you, Victoria, for tagging me. And if you want to do this tag, feel free. Consider yourself tagged by yours truly. And if you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!